In the headlines, 4 members of PDP National Working Committee return over 122 million naira as party says money was housing allowance. 1 killed, scores of farmers abducted in new attacks as armed bandits impose 12 million naira levies on farming communities in Kaduna. Telecommunications operators threaten to disrupt unstructured supplementary service data over 80 billion naira debt. And on the foreign scene, heavy gunfire heard near Burkina Faso's presidential palace. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. We begin with politics, where at least 4 members of the People's Democratic Party National Working Committee have returned over 122.4 million naira to the party. In separate letters to the PDP, the NWC members said the monies had been paid into their accounts without their knowledge. The money was said to be part of the over 10 billion naira realized by the party from nominations fees paid by aspirants. The National Working Committee members who returned the money are the National Vice Chairman, Southwest, Olasoji Adanugunodu, the Deputy National Chairman, South, Taufik Arakbaja, National Vice Chairman, South, Chief Dan Obi, and National Women Leader, Professor Stella Afa Ato. While Adanugunodu, Obi, and Afa Ato got 28.8 million naira each, Arakbaja was paid 36 million naira. In a letter to the PDP leadership notifying the PDP chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, of returning the money, Obi said he received the credit alert with shock and surprise. Chief Dan Obi said he was shocked and surprised after discovering he had been paid 28.8 million naira by the PDP. Efa Ato, in her letter, claimed that when she inquired about the 28 million naira paid to her account, she was told by the office of the PDP National Treasurer that the amount was for house rent for 2 years as National Working Committee members. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party has refuted allegations of bribery over the 122 million naira returned by some members of the party's National Working Committee, saying the funds were housing allowance. In a statement on Friday, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Ologunagba, described the reports about the money in some sections of the media as unfounded. The statement reads, "The National Working Committee has noted that the misleading report stemmed from an unfounded publication by a particular media outlet which suggested that the housing allowance, an entitlement duly approved and paid to national officials and staff of the party, amounted to bribery." For the avoidance of doubt, the PDP states in an unequivocal term that no funds were paid into the account of any member of the NWC as a bribe for any purpose whatsoever for that matter. Ologunagba explained that the housing allowance being referred to went through the due process of the party in line with conditions of service and entitlement of the staff and principal officers of the party. The PDP therefore urges all members, teaming supporters and the general public to disregard the report and misleading insinuation which are clearly designed to malign the PDP, cause disaffection and distract our party from our mission to rescue, rebuild and redirect our nation from the misrule of the All Progressives Congress, APC. Speaker of the Zamfara State House of Assembly, Nasiru Mu'azu, has charged media practitioners to ensure professional reportage of the electioneering campaigns to sustain the relative peace in the state. He gave the charge while playing host to the leadership of the Nigeria Union of Journalists Zamfara State Council in Gusau, the state capital. The report.
The Zamfara speaker observed that media practitioners have a critical role to play in sensitizing and enlightening Nigerians on proper way of participating in the 2023 general election. He called on media practitioners and organizations to avoid reportage that is capable of exacerbating the insecurity bedeviling the country and Zamfara State in particular.
I urge you as a media organization to ensure during next coming election that all appropriate media, appropriate design, which we can transfer a message to our populace, to our people, to our community, that may enhance the strength, the political benefit of the state. I also urge you once again to use your protection knowledge to enlighten the general public on how to tackle election process, on how to tackle campaign process, on how to embark on everything that will maintain the peaceful situation of the state.
The chairman of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ Zamfara State Council, Meizare Musa, said the visit was to seek collaboration and support to ensure peace and stability in the state. He warned members of the union to desist from reporting fake news, but rather be guided by the ethics of their profession, particularly in the reportage of the electioneering activities. Comrade Meizare Musa vowed that the union will continue to protect the interest of members of the NUJ. He, however, warned that it would not fail to sanction anyone found engaging in unprofessional conduct.
The Birnin Gwari Emirates Progressive Union, BEPU, says bandits have asked residents in 4 communities in Birnin Gwari local government area of Kaduna State to pay 12 million naira before they can access their farms. According to a statement on Thursday by the chairman, BEPU, Isa Kasai, said the bandits gave the farmers' communities until September 30th, 2022 as a deadline to meet their demand. He said the bandits have increased attack on the communities, adding that the 6 people kidnapped at the farm center on Saturday from Kwaga community were released on Wednesday after giving the bandits 20 measures of rice, 20 measures of beans, 25 liters of red oil, 25 liters of groundnut oil and recharge cards worth 10,000 naira. He said a farmer was killed at Shuaka community on Tuesday after being tied to a tree, and more than 20 people were kidnapped on Wednesday at different farms in Jangali and Kwaga areas. He, however, called on the government to intervene in the situation to enable farmers access to their farmlands without fear of attacks. The Nasarawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps has arrested 3 persons over alleged defilement of 2 girls at different locations in Lafia, the state capital. Public Relations Officer of the command, Jerry Victor, made this known while parading the suspects at the command's headquarters in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
The Nasarawa State NSCDC PRO said one of the suspects, a 20-year-old Haruna Mohammed, was arrested over alleged defiling and impregnating one of the victims, 13-year-old Fatima Abdullahi.
He was arrested at about 1800 hours on the 20th of September 2022 for defiling and impregnating a 13-year-old girl by name Fatima Abdullahi. It is called for, this kind of crime, this dastardly act that is being perpetrated by these young men. The suspect also claimed that they are dating, for some time now.
He said one of the 2 other suspects, a friend to the father of one of the victims, jointly committed the offense on the victim, Ramatu Dahiru, who is also a 13-year-old.
It is disheartening that Dauda Muhammad happened to be the friend to the victim father, and he was arrested because of the some strange behavior that was observed by the mother of the victim. And after some interrogation, she had to open up to her mother that it was Dauda Muhammad and Haruna Abdullahi that called her sometimes when she was sent by her parents to go and get something. So on her way going, they accosted her on the road and of course lure her to an undisclosed location and defile her in that place.
The NSCDC PRO, who cautioned parents not to allow their children, especially girls, to be on their own in order not to fall victim of rape and other human abuses, said the suspects would be charged to court upon conclusion of investigations. One of the suspects, Haruna Mohammed, admitted committing the offense but attributed his actions to the work of the devil, while one of the victims, Fatima Abdullahi, said she was raped when she went to visit the suspect, who at the time was sick.
I had sexual intercourse with a girl. That was why I was brought here. I know she's not my wife, but what happened is the work of the devil because I know my actions are an offense.
He said he was sick, so I came to visit him. He raped me. I shouted, but nobody came to rescue. Because of that incident, I am now 5 weeks pregnant. With the rise in cases of rape, observers are of the view that there is a need for proper monitoring on who relates with children, especially the girl child, while authorities have to impose stringent measures to punish offenders and also serve as a deterrent for others.
The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation has accepted to accommodate the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU's peculiarities allowances in the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information Payment System, IPPIS. Acting Accountant General of the Federation, Okoliabo Silva, said this at a meeting of the union with the Minister of Labour and Productivity, Dr. Chris Ngige, and the leadership of the House of Representatives on Thursday in Abuja. Silva said that if there were peculiarities allowances in ASU's pay, what needed to be done was to incorporate them into the platform, adding that the Office of the Accountant General was willing to incorporate ASU's peculiarities. Meanwhile, the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, on Thursday restated that the University Transparency and Accountability Solution, UTAS, the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System, IPPIS, and the Peculiar Personnel Payroll System failed integrity tests conducted by the agency. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU Nasarawa State University Kefi branch, has condemned a resumption call by management of the university to students and vowed to continue the union's nationwide strike action. Chairman of the union in the state, Samuel Alu, made this known at a press briefing held in Kefi on Friday. Recall that the management of the school recently, via a statement signed by its registrar, Bala Ahmed, directed students of the institution to resume for academic activities, despite the fact that ASU was still in an ongoing strike to press home their demands. Alu described the directive of the management of the institution as a reckless betrayal and vowed that members of the union in the institution will not be forced to go back to class against their wishes. He then appreciated students and parents for their understanding, resilience and resolve to sacrifice for the betterment of the future and to save the education sector from total collapse. Determined to protect the marine environment from the impact of shipping activities, the federal government has put measures in place to achieve net zero carbon emission for shipping by 2025, in line with the policy of the International Maritime Organization. Speaking in Lagos on Thursday at the 2022 World Maritime Day celebration organized by the Federal Ministry of Transportation with the theme New Technologies for Greener Shipping, Minister of Transportation Muazu Sambo said Nigeria is committed to the disbursement of the much-awaited Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. This, he said, is to enable ship owners to acquire newer ships with modern technologies that would reduce environmental hazards. According to him, private sector operators need to commit to investing in more modern platforms and assets that will meet the emission levels of the future. You're watching Trust TV News Update. And still to come. Ancient building that survives in post-independence era. Details of this and more after the break. Please stay with us.
That's great.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's recap our top stories. 4 members of PDP National Working Committee return over 122 million naira as party insists money is housing allowance. And 1 killed, scores of farmers abducted in new attacks as armed bandits impose 12 million naira levies on farming communities in Kaduna. And in other news, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, will from the 2nd of October commence automated park and pay at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, to checkmate touting and indiscriminate parking at the airport. The regional manager, Abuja Airport, Kabiru Muhammad, while speaking on Thursday at the commissioning of the park and pay, which also coincided with the 40-year anniversary of the airport, said the park and pay policy will affect cars parked at designated car parks and also at the roadside. The regional manager said the first 30 minutes will be free, after which vehicle owners will have to pay an undisclosed amount of money, adding that the new identity cards will be issued to the FAN staff from which they can use to park. He mentioned that complimentary cards will be issued to security and protocol officers of VIPs for a specific period of time, after which they will have to pay to park at the airport. Katsina is one of the educationally advantaged states in northern Nigeria, owing to its status as one of the premier institutions in the country, the Katsina Teachers Training College. Established in 1921 by the British government, the college was officially opened in 1922 by Sir Hugh Clifford, who was then Governor General of Nigeria. In this report, Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi takes a look at the role played by this historical building in the development of Nigeria.
This building is the institution that produced a great percentage of northern leaders such as the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Sir Kashim Ibrahim, and a host of many others. Katsina Teachers Training College, located in the heart of Katsina, nurtured all the prominent and famous leaders of northern Nigeria. This cut across administrative and political leaders who steered the ship of leadership before and even after the independence of Nigeria.
The purpose of establishing the college was to provide teachers for the then middle schools. In each province, there was a middle school. This middle school is partly primary, is partly secondary.
Up till today, there is the chair and the desk of the first principal of the college, Sir G.A.J. Vatman, as well as the pictures of the first set of students of the college.
It was the only secondary school in the whole northern region. So most of the first leadership in the political arena, people like Tafawa Balewa, people like Sardauna, people like Makamu Bida, Isa Kaita, and so on. All their names are here. They all passed through that college. And they were the first political leaders of the northern region. And because it was the only college, it united the whole north.
It stands to reason that the history of Nigeria and the north in particular is incomplete without a mention of the famous Katsina College. Today, this building houses national monuments and many historical artifacts which are found inside.
Enrollment of 50 students throughout northern Nigeria, that is from Kwara down to Maiduguri. Only 50 students were selected to attend this college, to start the college. All the teaching staff during that time were Europeans. They came from England.
In addition to being a custodian that advanced the development of Western civilization, Katsina is the home to first Islamic university in West Africa, established over 670 years ago. Starting out as a mosque, the institution was transformed into the Gobaro Islamic University, affiliated to the Islamic University in Timbuktu, Mali.
That university produced very famous Islamic scholars whose fame is still being respected all over the Muslim world, including three great ones. First, there was Sheikh Muhammad Al-Kashnawi Al-Fulani, who was a Fulani man, who traveled to Saudi Arabia on his way back, stayed in Cairo, taught people of Cairo, and even wrote a book which is available at Al-Azhar University.
These two educational establishments have not only cemented Katsina's place as a historical educational reference, but has also crowned Katsina as a center of learning and civilization in both Western and Islamic education. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Telecom operators under the aegis of the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, ALTON, have threatened to withdraw the unstructured supplementary service data, USSD, that they offer to banks following an accumulated debt amounting to over 80 billion naira owed the operators by the banks. Chairman of the Association of Licensed Telecom Operators of Nigeria, Gbenga Adebayo, revealed this in Lagos on Thursday, warning that telcos may disconnect service to defaulting banks. According to him, the last option available for telcos was to withdraw the service, which the banks had been benefiting from without settling their own part of the agreement. Adebayo said while some banks have responded and are making payments, others have remained unconcerned. The Nigerian government is on the verge of strengthening its trade and investments relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia through a newly registered Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture. The development came to the fore at the formal presentation of Certificate of the Chamber to the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports.
Though the bilateral relationship between the two countries largely revolves around Hajj and Umrah, with Nigeria producing one of the largest contingents to the annual pilgrimage, Nigeria's trade volume with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, currently standing at $5 million, considered abysmally low and informal.
Our businesses have been unable to capitalize on such opportunities due to lack of an organized, reliable, safe, and very secure private sector platform like a Chamber of Commerce. For example, apart from the billions of dollars of soft Sharia compliant facilities we could have accessed via the Saudi Fund for Development or the Saudi Export Program, many high-profile and rich Saudi individuals and companies have been very disappointed in their attempt to set up in Nigeria.
The Nigerian government is now set to leverage on the joint chamber to accelerate its trade and investments relations in key areas with the global oil-producing giant to improve its economy.
One of the objectives is to increase the official volume of trade between the two countries, and also to reduce that trust deficit between Nigeria businessmen and the Saudi Arabian businessmen, between Nigerian businesses and the Saudi businesses.
The anticipated improved relationship between the two countries, which is paving way for the visitation of a 60-man delegation from Saudi Arabia, is also expected to remove existing hindrances and trust deficit, undermining bilateral trade relations among the two countries. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And now for a look at the foreign scene, where heavy gunfire has been heard from the main military base and some residential areas in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's capital. According to Reuters, the incident happened early Friday morning. A number of armed soldiers have been positioned along the road leading to the presidential palace. Military personnel are said to be restricting entry into the administrative buildings and the national television station, which has now halted broadcasting. Meanwhile, BBC says local newspapers are reporting that gunfire was also heard at other military barracks across the country. Thailand's Constitutional Court has ruled that Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha can continue in office and that he had not surpassed his maximum 8-year term limit as Premier. The court, in a 25-minute reading of the verdict on Friday, said Prayuth's tenure as Prime Minister should be counted from 2017, when a new constitution was promulgated. The decision will be a boost for Prayuth, a staunch loyalist whose premiership has been beset by attempts to unseat him, including 4 House censure motions, a conflict of interest case and major protests challenging his leadership and the monarchy. A spokesperson for Prayuth said they respected the ruling and thanked his supporters. Meanwhile, this just in, Ibrahim Gusau has emerged the president of the Nigeria Football Federation. He polled 21 votes to defeat 6 other candidates in an election held in Benin, Edo State. More details subsequently. And in other sports news, Everton have been fined £300,000 over the 2 pitch invasions during their Premier League win over Crystal Palace at Goodison Park on May 19th. The hosts fought back from 2-0 down to secure their Premier League survival in the penultimate game of the season. Fans came into the pitch to celebrate Dominic Calvert-Lewin's 85th minute winner, and after the final whistle, the Football Association said fans used threatening and violent behaviour as they invaded the pitch. Everton, however, admitted failing to control the crowd. Premier League clubs announced earlier this month that fans guilty of antisocial or criminal behaviour at top-flight grounds will be banned from attending games at their clubs for at least a year. Newcastle have agreed a deal to sign 18-year-old Garang Kuol from Central Coast Mariners, with the Australian forward joining the club in January. Newcastle reportedly paid an initial £300,000 before add-on clauses. Kuol earned his first Australia cap last week, becoming the youngest player to represent his country since former Leeds and Liverpool Harry Kewell in 1996. Kuol, who only signed his first professional deal in June, has emerged as a late bolster for the Socceroos Qatar 2022 squad after 4 goals in his 7 substitute appearances for the Mariners. He also impressed in a cameo in a post-season friendly against Barcelona, earning praise from the opposition manager, Xavi. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. For more news, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.